Hi guys, welcome back to the Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to talk about one book. Just one! Yeah! Lisa Kleypas is someone to watch over me. I believe this is the first book in the Bow Street Runner series that she has. I like the cover, and I like the back. Very nice. This is FM Historical. This is also how to make a murder mystery boring as well. I want to curse, but it's not even 30 seconds in. So I gave this 2 stars because there was some points that I liked, and it had a cute ending, you know, and it's FM historical romance. Man, this book. Okay, so. What can I say about this book? Boring. And there's going to be quite a few spoilers in this, but this book did come out in 1998. So I think that's fair. You know what I mean? I think that's fair. So this centers around Grant Morgan, who is a Bow Street runner. If you're not familiar, in England, there was a time, they're basically like the Scotland Yard before Scotland Yard became Scotland Yard. You know what I mean? They were investigators. You know, sort of urban legends almost to one point. And I do like how that book touched on this a little bit. Sorry. Probably shouldn't put my drink on the same table that you guys are on. Note to self, don't do that next time. Okay. Where was I? Oh yes, Grant is a Bow Street runner, and he's like super famous, and we're told over and over again what how amazing an investigator is, and like he's a legend, and he solved all these high publicized crimes, and I'm like, bitch how, bitch when, bitch why? Like I like how I'm like, oh, I shouldn't curse, and then like a minute later. And then Vivian, who is a courtesan, and I'm going to use the word courtesan because I think that's, I just like that word, you know what I mean? She is, how do I put this in polite YouTube-friendly terms? A lady of the evening for discerning and wealthy bored gentlemen. Okay? Okay. She's found face down in the Thames. Someone tried to strangle her and throw her over. Apparently, she's not dead. So Grant takes her to his house because he hates her. He's so annoyed by her, he hates her. Why does he hate her? This cop, basically, this investigator, this homicide detective, this man has seen horrible things, kidnappings, murders, everything under the sun. But he has a grudge because the one time him and Vivian met at a party, he turned her down because he realized she was very self-centered, and he turned her down. And for petty revenge, Vivian spread a rumor that she turned him down. Oh, and I'm like, that's enough to hurt your pride? Like, a guy that has seen like the worst of humanity, and like that hurt your pride? I'm like, bitch, how tiny is your ego? Like, they have books written about this guy and the amazing cases that he busted open, right? Like little dime store, you know, I think they're like called, I know in here they called hot penny books, but I think the American term for the Wild West was like dime store novels, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, wait a minute. You've seen truly horrible things, and like this stupid rumor that no one gives a shit about. I mean, they might like, haha, laugh at you behind your back for like a second, but you don't like the aristocrats anyway. Like, it just seemed so, like, I didn't know who Grant was, right? And I'm pretty sure Kleypas didn't know who Grant was either. Like, you could really tell, you know? I'm just like, what? What? We'll get into that in a second. So, Vivian has no memory. Okay. Fair enough. Absolutely none. She has amnesia. he, like, is drawn to her. Classic romance stuff. He's drawn to her, though, but he hates her. Stupid reason to hate her. So I guess it's supposed to be enemies to lovers. I don't know. I rarely like enemies to lovers, as it is, or I hate bully romances. No. And I think enemies to lovers worked better in, like, dark romance, and even then, it's not my thing. It's not a trope I particularly enjoy. So, you know, and the thing is, the murder, like the attempted murder, I did not give a shit about. I was just like waiting till he realizes, you know, twins exist since like the dawn of humans. Twins have existed. He even says at one point he knows nothing about Vivian's family. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Why would you? You guys met for 2 seconds in a ball, and it was like you both hated each other. Why would she like delve into a twin sister she's either hates or is protecting? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, no shit. His staff, right, is like, are you sure she is who you say she is? Because she's doing all these unconscious, subconscious things, like making her own bed, dressing herself, getting the water for her own bath, doing her own hair. Like, she felt super uncomfortable when the maids try to step in and do it. You know, all these things that were like unconscious she was doing. And okay, again, 1800s, not a lot is known about amnesia or psychology, so okay, I could suspension of belief there. That's fine, you know what I mean? She, like, Vivian, he was told by many of Vivian lover, well, her last lover Vivian had, that she hates books. But this Vivian, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna call Vivian the Courtesan Vivian, and the girl that we're talking about V. Because I think by now you guys realize, like I did, it's not the same person. So V is over the top when she finds his library, and not only does she loves books, like he loves books, she loves the same kind of books he does and can recite them quote by quote. Things like that. All these signs that she wasn't who he thought she was kept popping up, right? For like a great detective, I'm like, come on. And it wasn't so much like he was doing mental gymnastics for her to be Vivian so they could be together, because he hated Vivian and he wanted to take revenge on Vivian. So it was like really weird thing. And the revenge was really weird too. Like, he was gonna sleep with her and then throw her out. And I'm like, yeah, but no, you weren't, because you were tasked as your job to keep her safe. Like, your boss told you to keep her safe. So, no, you're not. Like, no, you're not gonna. So, like, that made no sense to me, right? And his boss, who I liked him, and this is a series I read out of order. I really liked the third book. This one, I think, is the first one. And if this is the first one of the series, I could see why people don't really talk highly of this one, of the series, which is unfortunate, because the third book was a lot of fun. And, I like Sir Ross from the third book, even though that's not his story, he's just a secondary character. And I like Sir Ross in this book, so I'm hoping his book, I'm really high hopes, right? Sir Ross was like, I judge your objectivity because you think she's flirting with, I'll get back to the scene in a second, but like, they go to a ball, someone's trying to kill her, but okay. And, you know, they have a weird argument, and she goes to like flirt with men, and he's like, and he's all drinking because all going back into habits. And I'm like, you're drinking when you're supposed to be protecting a woman that was strangled to death and thrown into a cold river? What the fuck? And then the boss comes over and he's like, is that what you see? Because I see a woman terrified of being center of attention, and he goes through all, like, she's holding her glass like she's going to break it. She's sweating. Her eyes are twitching. She doesn't look comfortable. Like, all these things that, like, a detective would notice. You know what I mean? Because he knows, and he's the boss. Like, you know, like, so they know. So apparently, like, reading people's body language is a thing, even though they didn't have a word for it, because the boss, at least in this book, because the boss can do it. You know what I mean? Oh, it was just like, so like, and then the whole reveal of who the murderer wasn't really a shock horror, because again, it's gonna be spoilers. So if you're interested in reading the book, and there are fun parts, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. Fine. But right now, going forward, there's gonna be spoilers. Okay. The guy that tried to kill her is another Bow Street runner. And from the beginning, he tried to insert himself into the investigation, even to the point where Grant is like, "Your obsession with this is kind of odd," but then goes no farther. And I'm like, yeah, it is, isn't it? It really is. Like, the reason why that fellow cop was going after Vivian was completely shoehorned in later. There was like one scene where the guy like glaring at her, but like the whole reason, like, it was nothing, there was no hints up to it. It wasn't a good mystery. And it wasn't a good romance either. The romance was really super boring. So like even in my notes, the only thing under Grant is a bit of a dick. Because the whole time he's a bit of a dick. You know what I mean? And like he's definitely a dick to her. So like it's okay to have like a rough kind of romance lead. That's fine. But usually he like the romance, like the love interest is the one person they're not an asshole to. You know what I mean? Because they're different. Ooh la la. But that's sort of like the trope, right? But no, he was really mean to her. He said some horrible things to her, you know what I mean? And the whole time I'm reading this and it's just like, oh, Vivian's so evil, Vivian's so manipulative. And I'm like, bro, it's 1800s. You know, she probably became a courtesan because A, she wanted to, good for her or whatever, or B, because, you know, she had no other choice. And like, you're just being a dick. Like, he was just a dick. When they exchanged I love yous, when she said I love you to him, I literally audibly was like, really? He's a dick. And when he said I love you back, I was like, really? You're a dick. Like, and then 50 pages after that, they sleep together, right? And the thing is that when that happened, I was really hoping, because this whole time she's having not really flashes of memory, but flashes of past emotions of like basically mourning somebody. And I really wanted her to be a widow. Because obviously V is not Vivian. And I wanted V to be a widow so it wouldn't do the easy cop-out, oh, well, she's a virgin, so she can't be Vivian, so I actually have to do my job. And it's okay to love her, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? But Lisa Kleypas didn't. She went the easier route. V was a virgin. And that's when he's like, oh, you're not Vivian. Like, I was like, oh, I really wanted her to be a widow because the whole time, internal in his POV, externally, he's treating her like half nice, half like shit because she's a courtesan, right? Or he thinks that she's a courtesan. So I really wanted him to go through the internal work of letting go of this ego and this judgment of her and falling in love with who she is and realizing her past does not matter. I read a romance novel like that once where it was a lost princess for like betrothal, forced marriage thing, and she was working in a tavern. She was not a courtesan herself, but the dancer was, and she just filled in for her one night, so they thought she was a courtesan. And when they slept together, he was too drunk to realize he took her virginity. But throughout the book and his POV, you realize him putting his ego away when it came to her having a past and realizing that he loves her more than anything else. You know what I mean? And when you were along the ride for him working on this, you felt like he deserved her. You're like, you know, you really made amends. I think you guys would be cute now. You know what I mean? I was really hoping for this because Grant, the whole time, there is no personality growth. Like, there's absolutely none. He doesn't change from the beginning to the end. The only time, he changes in the epilogue, but, like, epilogue, I feel like, or bonus, is like a bonus. You shouldn't have to read the epilogue for the story to make sense. The story should make sense on its own, right? And the epilogue is just, like, a little bit of extra fun candy, you know? And we go along with him on two separate occasions when he's interrogating suspects. And I thought that was really good. I was like, ooh, He's really good at interrogation, getting stuff out of people. That's fun. But that's all we went along for. He didn't canvass the area. He didn't ask the fishermen if they saw something at that time of the night. He was just fixated on this diary of Vivian's basically blackmail material. Or when he picked up, I was like, oh, her safety net. You know what I mean? Because she's a correspondent for some really powerful people. And it was odd to me that he just happened to find it, because Vivian's whole manor, her whole townhouse is completely emptied out, right? But she left that, like that, I was like, oh my god, this is such a bad plot hole, you know what I mean? And we didn't go with him to see him do any investigative work. And we're told, and this is the thing that Kleypas does that drives me nuts. She's a lot better in her recent books, but her past books, it's all, we're told the guy is badass. We're told the guy is kind. We're told the guy is smart. But, like, we're not shown it. Meanwhile, the females, we're shown if they're kind. We're shown if they're a little ditzy. We're shown their sense of humor. We're shown all this. So it definitely always feels like very unbalanced. That she basically focuses more on the females than the males. Okay. A romance novel, I like to like both of the couples because I want to root for them. You guys know this. I want to root for them. So like Grant did not change. We don't really know anything about him except he's a bit of a dick, you know? And we're told over and over again, he's really smart. And I'm like, is he? Is he? Because it wasn't until he interrogated the random guy with the random motive that it all came into place. And it wasn't until he happened to find a letter that Vivian accidentally dropped at the doctor's that we figure out where Vivian is. Because, spoiler alert, they're twins, and V is Victoria. You know what I mean? A little country mouse that's really sweet and loves her sister. And I liked, see, 2 stars, because I liked the relationship between the sisters. Because this whole time, Vivian's, like, villainized, right? But you could tell she loves her sister. And Victoria loves her. They both don't agree on each other's choices how to live, but they still love each other. You know what I mean? And I liked that. The epilogue was really cute. So those are the 2 reasons it's a 2-star and not just a piece of shit 0 star. Because those are cute. When the romance was happening, I was like, really? Really? Do you? Tell me one thing, Grant, about V that you like. Because I'm in your head and I don't see nothing. You know, and V, tell me one thing good about Grant besides him, like, I guess on her side, I could see it because he took her to her house and is protecting her. She later finds out it's just so he could get revenge on Vivian, which also makes no sense because his boss knows where Vivian is, where V is, knows, and warned him not to take advantage of her, or, you know what I mean? Like, his boss, who could fire him, you know what I mean? Like, it made no sense. It felt like a third act conflict just for the sake, oh, it's the 3rd act, let's do something. Meanwhile, you have a murderer running around. You don't need any more 3rd act conflict. Like, no, you don't need it. It's stupid. It was stupid. It took me the whole week. And the reason it took me the whole week, because I just didn't want to read it. I kept forcing myself to read it. And I've had some Lisa Kleypases where I didn't like it for the 1st act. But by the middle act, I really enjoyed myself. So I was hoping that's what this was going to be. Like a slow start, but a fantastic finish. And I always say Lisa Kleypas, 3rd act queen, right? This one, not so much. Because V, and like obviously it was the other cop, right? So someone tried to kill her. What are we going to do? Flush out the murderer. Okay, use her as bait. Okay. They go to a ball, use her as bait. He's a dick to her. And finally, she kind of stands up to him and is like, well, fine. And she goes flirting with other men to make him upset. I was like, you know what? Good for you, V. You live your life. You don't need him, whatever. Which I shouldn't be rooting for the main couple not to be the main couple. Okay? That shouldn't be, no. And this is when Sir Ross is like, I don't see someone who likes attention. I see someone that hates every moment of this, but okay. And then she's like, oh, her last lover wants to talk to her privately. And Grant says fine. And I was like, what are you doing? This was a suspect you interrogated, a possible murder suspects. And you're just like, fine. It made no sense. Like, yeah, there was cops around, but not close enough because someone in the shadows behind her said like a really threatening thing that got her running into the party. Fine. But the thing I was like, someone threatened her to terrorize her, right? But they didn't, because they could have easily strangled her from behind because she didn't know they were there. So obviously he knew there was cops around because he booked it. So like, like all these little things. And I was like, how are you supposed to, like, we were supposed to believe this guy is this smart? This guy is supposed to be smart. Oh yeah, someone's trying to kill you. And the guy that I think is behind it, he wants to talk to you in private in the dark garden where cops are stationed at the entrance and the exit, but not right where he could like stab you, shoot you, whatever. That's fine. And I was like, Lisa Kleypas, do you know who Grant Morgan is? Because I fucking don't. Like, what is happening right now? Man, not fun. Not fun. And I was just like, wow. And again, 2 stars because V is actually pretty boring until like the 3rd act when she remembers who she is. And then her personality came to the forefront and I was like, okay, maybe she wrote V kind of a blank slate because she had amnesia. Okay. Fine. You know, not particularly fond of that, but okay. But I like who Victoria was. Very shy, very different kind of strength. And I like that. I hated that Grant was just a dick until the epilogue. And then he showed himself to be a good guy in a very, I'm going to tell you, not show you kind of way. And I'm like, seriously? I've been in this asshole's head for 350 some odd pages and I saw no growth. None whatsoever. None. You know, so it was almost like, oh, he's not really likable. Let me put in this epilogue that makes him likable. And the epilogue, Grant Morgan, was very likable. I was like, where was that guy throughout the whole book? If I was reading this book with that guy in it, I would have loved this romance. You know what I mean? And I can't believe I ranted this long about one book. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, huh? Okay. Whew. This is and this isn't just the reading slump. You know what I mean? This was just bad. Bad Lisa Kleypas, bad. This was not fun to read. This took all week. And usually a book this size takes me like maybe 2 days because I read at night, you know, after all the adulting is done for the day. So like, man, this was just not fun. So can't say I like this at all. I like the 3rd book in this one, but not this one. I'm hopefully Sir Ross's book is good, but who knows? I just don't like the unevenness of the characters and like how it seemed like she had no idea who Grant was. He's tall. I know that. He's tall and a bit of a dick. But there we go. A good investigator? Nah. Anyway, I don't want too much time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.